Hello, gentle viewers. This is Guardian welcoming you back to Out of the Park Baseball 24 with the Oakland Athletics. Before we get started today, a huge shout out to Tom Lehman 306 and TTS 0375, two wonderful commenters who were recognizing the kind of mindfuck that I've been having with salaries and pointing out that inflation had actually been enabled. So basically means that over the course of the past 14 years, prices keep going up, and that's a messing with my head. So, to compensate for that, so the way that yearly inflation works is the range was between 1 and 4%, which means prices could increase from anywhere from 10%, let's try that again. So each year, prices would increase by 1 to 4%, which means at a minimum, 14 years into the game, prices increased by 14%. At maximum, if it hit 4, if it rolled 4 every single time, it would have been even more than that. Let's say to call it 2%, which would mean that basically we've seen price increase by 28%, meaning every contract is about 28% more than it ought to be. So what we're going to do, we're not going to do this, is we're going to cut prices by a certain percentage. And that percentage is going to be, we want to keep 77% of its current, not 77%, sorry, 72% of its current value. So 0.72. Now, I've tried this several times, and each time it keeps breaking. Hopefully this time it doesn't break. Do it. And so now, let's take a look at player salaries. This seems more reasonable to me. And I think this definitely helps me grasp a little bit more efficiently how much players are actually wanting versus how much they're actually worth. The other thing I always like to check to make sure my financials make sense here is what does a superstar expect to earn? 31 million. This is actually probably slightly depressed. Maybe a little bit too much. But I think I'm okay with that. Like, I think that's reasonable. Because obviously we should, like, the Shohei Otanis of the world should want all the money. Let's see who has the most expensive contract right now. So we're gonna want blah 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 blah, and we want players. MLB player list. Give me all of the players. Who has the biggest contract? It's Julio Rosario, who is earning $45 million a year. I think that's reasonable. If this is what a top line annual salary looks like, I think that's very sensible. And some are even more ridiculous than that, but that's fine. Like, if the fucking Angels want to have lost their minds and pay $52 million a year, they're entitled to do that. That's an insane amount of money for one player, but they can afford it. I want to see how much you actually signed it, because it didn't change the history. Interesting. It did actually update the salaries for everyone, right? Or did it just do it for me? We also need to hit the refresh button here. There we go. Because it should also have adjusted existing contracts, and it definitely did for my players. It definitely did. Right? Maybe it didn't. Interesting. Okay, should be earning about $9 million a year. And it looks like he's earning less than that. But by how much less? Like, this is still kind of fucking with my head a little bit. I'm trying to figure out if these numbers look reasonable. Like, my deal here wants to get paid $25 million, which seems like a pretty reasonable amount. But, like, that guy's worth $50 million, though. Like, why on fucking earth would he still be worth that much money? Is a question. Like, he's obviously an incredible pitcher. I'm not disputing that, but I feel like it hasn't adjusted and by enough. But maybe this is fine? Like, I don't know, though. I'm gonna check these settings one last time. I'm probably just gonna go with it, and then we can make later adjustments later on. So that trailer payroll is gonna be $182 million, which is less than the current payroll of many major league teams. Not all major league teams, but it does say average, so that seems reasonable. A superstar quality player should be earning about $31 million. So I guess the fact that we're wildly overpaid before doesn't make them be less wildly overpaid now? Possibly. I don't know. I mean, and no matter what the coefficient, John Fisher's still a giant fucking asshole and needs to let us actually pay our damn players. But a topic for another day. To be sure. Did it reduce things by enough? Did it reduce things by enough? It basically shaved about, looks like about $5 million off. Is that enough? Like, I don't want to have salaries or anything like that, because that would be too much. But it still feels like the top end guys are making too much money. I could maybe shave off another 10% and see where that gets us. But the big issue is, you know... Right, so Fernando Tatis, when I signed him to his 3-year deal, how much I originally signed for? Because it never changes this. This doesn't change. So I'm going to open up a calculator and we can actually determine how much prices actually changed. Alright, so he earned 141.6 divided by 3 means he initially earned $47 million a year. So we've already cut that by about $10 million. Which is about what I wanted, actually. Like, I could maybe argue for reducing it a little bit more. But I just think the Angels made a real fucking stupid decision. That's what I think happened. Paying that kid that much money. Which means that Juan Demoya is actually a bargain. If we go by the standard $8 million a win, he's basically been earning that. And a little bit more. So he actually has been a pretty decent value since they gave him that new contract. Although now this catastrophic arm injury, there's a very high probability that he will not recover and will be a shadow of his former self. But let's think positive thoughts and hope he comes back. I'm happy with this. We're going to leave it alone. And we're just going to keep playing the game. And if we need to make additional adjustments later on, we can. I'm going to show this one last time so people in the comments can decide if they think we should cut salaries a bit more. But otherwise, I think I'm fairly pleased with our current financial coefficient. So it's currently at, well, it was 72%, so we caught basically 28% off of most salaries, which is about what I was looking for. And this means that the average mega star is going to start about 30-some million, with the expectation that the really fancy ones are probably going to ask for more. So, with that said, let's play some baseball. What happened in last episode before we were also rudely interrupted by fixing numbers to keep my brain functioning at a relatively high level? This is, by and large, a very similar lineup to last year's. We've added basically 2 players. The biggest and most obvious is Fernando Tatis Jr., who we got signed to a big contract, trying to get both power in the middle of the lineup and stabilize third base since Peyton Green has moved on to greener pastures. Get it? We also added Jamie Cornell. Mr. Cornell was brought over to us by the trading deadline, and he's now our everyday first baseman. For now. Bobby Guerra is somebody we traded for in the offseason. And we're handing him the keys of the kingdom, so to speak. We're looking for that big on-base guy, and it looks like he might be able to deliver that. The price for Mr. Guerra was substantial, but we got some really useful players in Chad McKay, Steve Crawford, and we gave up Padilla, Delgado, and Amari Brodden. Everyone else was here last season. And we will see how this plays out, particularly with a full season of Gilberto Cabral. Because Cabral's got all kinds of talent, and if we can tap into that, that'd be really good. You know, one other thing to test really, actually. Minor league minimum salary. Sorry, major league minimum salary. I think like $750K now. Yeah, so this is basically a little bit more than that, and I'm fine with that. Anyway. Back to Le Game. So that's how the lineup has changed. Really, Cornell getting a bigger role. I don't agree with him being leadoff. We'll figure it out. Adding Guerra, adding Tatis Jr. Our pitching staff features a lot of old friends in McDevitt, Swanson, and Luberta. Devin Schaffner, who's been with us since 2034 and provided decent ability. And rookie Chris Allen. Anybody that can generate these kind of numbers in AAA is a pretty good dude. Now, I do have one gigantic concern about Mr. Allen's future, and we're only going to find out in the majors, so we'll see how this works out. This is that concern. He has often walked high numbers of people in the minors. Now, it's possible that the moment he hits the majors, he's going to get quality coaching, and they're going to be like, hey, fuckhead, don't do that. And maybe it'll all work out fine. But we'll see what happens. Our 9th round draft pick from a couple seasons ago, Mr. Danny Gross, is our new closer. Jesus Ramirez remains here to offer quality relieving at probably a bit higher than needed price, but that's okay. Pat Luoma's new. No, I just didn't remember him. Never mind. Omari Nickelberry is new. I signed him as a free agent, which I'm already regretting. I think we'll happily opt out of his contract, but mistakes are made. Mistakes are made. I think it's time to play some baseball, so let's do just that. Oh, you're right. Mr. Allen needs to be... Oh, I have to fix this, too. Should be 3x3, please, game. There you go. And then you're going to be double A, high A, low A, rookie league, injured list. There is going to be 38-man roster. There we go. This is what we actually need. I changed this for the whatchamacallit. The KBO series that you've maybe already seen on Monday. But I guess I'm just going to keep this. Anyways, Chris Allen officially is on the big league roster. There we go. Let's play baseball. The offense so far is wildly inconsistent. Like, we're putting up 14 runs one day and then 0 the next. I know we're in dead last in the AL West, but it's not like we're that far off the pace. And I don't want to get... I don't want to get overly concerned before I do... Oh, Jesus Jacobo's going to be out for 4 months. Zam. Skeens is injured. Wild. Obviously, I'm not going to even look at the stats. We're just going to keep going for another month, and then we can finally start taking stock of the team and what we might be able to do to improve our fortunes. Losing Fernando Tatis for 6 weeks is certainly not a great thing. But that's part of the cost of doing business with a player his age, right? Like, that's definitely a thing. Do we have a mid-tier third baseman, I wonder? Where did all of my... Oh, I'm looking at the wrong area here. Ha 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 ha. Whoops. Whoops. Steve Crawford definitely has some attraction as a player to add. Gallegos can't actually play third, so he's not a good fit. Let's call up Ayala for right now, though. I think Ayala's fine. And then... Oh, I know what screen we're missing. There we go. That's why everything looked out of place. Double A, high A, single A, rookie league, and then injured list. Okay, now we're where I thought we were. Oh my god. No, I said triple A. Maybe I didn't say triple A, in which case, shame on me. But yes, so Mr. Ayala will get called up, but it'll be Luis Aguilar's third base game until Tatis can return. It's almost like spending lots of money on aged veterans is a bit risky. Who would have thought? We're just not consistently scoring runs. We're going to need to find out who is actually suffering the most, and then perhaps adjust to the realities of the situation. I mean, there goes Jonathan Genova. Genova. Let's go ahead and activate Alexis Pinto. Beanie, as he likes to be called. Alright, so we're presently slightly above 500. 3 games over 500. That's not nothing, of course. Some youngsters are getting better. Cabral's getting worse. That's not great. Some other players are declining slightly. Did you fucking have my player development bullshit because you are upset you didn't earn $20 billion? No, you're happy. Okay. Good, good, good. What? Huh. I know that messing with the financial coefficient can fuck with shit, but that doesn't seem right. We might have to, I'm gonna really quickly see if I can fix that. Yeah, that's the base cap. I don't know what happened there. Oh, suggested by revenue sharing. That's kind of wild, but okay. Anyhoozle. So who is struggling and who's playing very well? The lineup as a whole is average. Remember, actually slightly above average. You're basically in the top third of lineups. Jaime Cornell is not good enough. He is not good enough. This is the first and most important thing I have come to accept. He's not terrible, but I think we can do a little bit better. So we're going to explore our options there. Bobby Guerra should definitely be playing better than he is, but I'm already fairly pleased with him. But there's definitely another year here that if he keeps applying himself, he will reach. Because he should be hitting for a lot more power than he has been. That's the big missing element here. I know he's not a great home run guy, but he's a pretty good doubles guy. He should be at or around 40 doubles by the end of the season. So Guerra will be fine. Sean DeWitt is incredible. We knew that though, but still good to hear. Andy Santa Cruz, after having been removed from the need to play defense, is actually playing quite well, which is very appreciated. Cabral is the other big name that I think is struggling. And Cabral is probably the easiest solution, which is sending him back to the minor leagues. I know it's only a couple hundred at bats, and he was really, really good last year, so it's also an argument to just stick with him and see if he figures it out. But I don't want to ruin his development. So we might send him to the minors where we have a reasonable replacement. Hughes is off by quite a bit. Hopefully he can figure that out. Ayala is fine-ish. Stevens is fine-ish. Mello is fine-ish. Like, I guess our biggest issue right now is we just have a lot of players that aren't very good offensively. And we also have the ones that should be really good not playing at their best level. So if I replace Jamie Connell, who would be my choice? Probably Kevin Cox. I think this is one change we can make that would almost certainly constitute an upgrade to the lineup. If Cornell was playing second, I'd probably... I mean, I could... Like, Mike Stevens isn't meant to play second base every day. That was never going to be his role. Interesting. I am not keeping Cornell on this roster. Not if we're going to use him as a first baseman. I don't think that's a good use of his talents. I'm going to flip you really quickly and try to get... Oh, you're a catcher. captain, though. Damn it. Why do you do this to me, game? Why do you give me subpar players? I also have Fernando Tatis. That's true. That's very true. Let's trade... What if we traded Mike Stevens instead? I really want Mike Stevens to play, but as a backup. And both Hoskins and Cornell would be far more effective offensively than Mike Stevens. Let's trade you. And then we'll promote Kevin Cox and see if that convinces the AI what I want them to do. Really? Nobody wants superstar Mike Stevens? I'm just going to non-tender him then. Or not non-tender him, sorry. I'm going to designate him for assignment and call up Cox. Now let's reevaluate. So we're keeping Cornell, but we're playing him at second, which I can tolerate. He's going to be much more valuable playing reasonably good defense at second than he is reasonably good defense at first. We had Kevin Cox's bat to the lineup, which is going to be very helpful indeed. And then I want to give Cabral one more month. That's kind of where I'm at. If we can get him another 100 at bats or so, I'll have a much better sense of whether he's actually a liability or if that's not the case. I've got Eddie Williamson that I'd be willing to consider playing in the outfield. We've got Chris Portillo, who's very talented and could be a quality choice in his own right. We have options. It's just going to be a question for which option fits us best. Why are you starting Mello over Twiz? Because Twiz isn't quite as good a catcher. Understood, I guess. What are we looking at with the pitching staff? Pitching staff is mostly okay, other than Ramirez and Nickelberry. We're playing reasonably good defense, although we're not as good as we should be. Who's fucking up defensively? Someone's apparently got a lot of errors. Chris Hughes. And Mello. Oh, pardon me. Cabral's also awful as an outfielder. This is also something we're going to need to consider. He's not the worst, but he's definitely not helping his case. But let's see what happens with a bit more time and see if some of these things will just sort themselves out. In particular, having Kevin Cox should stabilize the lineup and give us a bat we can rely upon a little bit better. But I think first base is a very clear area we need to upgrade in. If we take a look at our... So we include an entire organization. This is a really good sense of who we think we should promote. To various spots. We really like Eddie Williamson. I don't know that I like Eddie Williamson that much. I would never promote Tim Gardner. Not yet, anyway. Okay. Cool. Spiva wouldn't be a terrible choice either. I have options to fill first base, but I do think Kevin Cox deserves at least a chance at it. Let's go another month, and then we can reevaluate. Honestly, so the reason that prompted a lot of those concerns was somebody pointed out, why not just keep Caleb Sellers? And then my point is, like, 12 million is way too much money for him, but in that financial environment is probably actually fairly reasonable. So that's an oof on my part. Georg Hunt, welcome back. You keep just being healthy. I felt a sharp pain. Welcome to every minute of my fucking life. Oh no, anyway. Okay. Are you already on the 60-day IL, my friend? Yeah, he is now. There we go. We'll let him recover. Okay, we get Tatis back, which means Ayala goes back to the minors. Or does he? So I don't think Ayala can hit this well. So I'm gonna send him to the minors, and we're gonna call up. We're gonna reactivate Tatis. Like he just makes us better from top to bottom, and I think that's really valuable. Good old Rosman Verdugo. I remember drafting you and thinking you would be something. Oh no, I traded him. I gave you Ramon Laureano and then turned him into Kyle Wright. Looks like he never really worked out, which I can't honestly say is that surprising to me. He always seemed like kind of a borderline dude. You fucking toolbox. Really? I didn't even have you back for a week. Oh my god. I no, Gallegos is struggling mightily. I'm gonna call up Spiva, and we're gonna give him the spot that Ayala currently enjoys. Just because I think Spiva's got a little bit more upside. Even if he's not like a brilliant defender by any stretch of the imagination, he's still actually pretty decent. Let's trade Ayala. Because who's my is it so fucking Kotze? Or no, I thought I killed Kotze. I mean, fired him. Yeah, you actually do what you are told, which I really appreciate. Like, I don't like... Does he shade toward defense? Oh, he very much shades toward defense. That explains a lot. Yeah, don't do that, game. Please. Man, he hasn't even been that good. I think we can safely say that getting Fernando Tatis has been a bust. Oh well. They can't all be brilliant moves. Does literally anyone ever call Brandon Crawford DJ B. Craw? I mean, I'm not a fan of the Giants or anything, but that seems pretty unlikely that's actually the name he goes by. And if he did, I would strongly urge him to consider a better name. Bilbrey was Pitcher of the Month. Nice. Randy Hoskins, American League Player of the Week. I can see that. We can let that be a thing. So Hoskins is back at second base. Connell is back at first. Cornell. I was going to call him Connell because I guess my brain doesn't see the R. The lineup is getting better. That much is true. But I think he's taking Cabral out of the lineup. How is Cabral hitting? No, he's badly struggling. We're going to send him to the minors. I think Chris Portillo would be a fine choice to add to the roster. Let's do it. I mean, I guess it could be Eddie Williamson, but no, we're gonna use Portillo. There you go. This is purely to get Cabral regular playing time and help him break through the average issue. His isolated power is also minuscule, so there's a lot of work that he needs, and I'd rather he get that in the minors, especially when they spent so little time in AAA. And I still think he could be something really special, so that's one change we're going to make right now. I really don't want you playing Cornell. I need to save you from yourself, game. I'm going to trade Cornell. Cornell? Hi there, Chris Bork. I wonder if we're in relation to Ray. What you are is an incredible pitcher, so I will grab you. We can try to get another prospect, I suppose. I don't know that we'll get one, but we can try. Yeah, Andres Montez sucks. Yeah, I'm willing to make this happen. Complete trade. So now the question is, who do we get to play first base? Because I really do want a top-tier first baseman, if we can get one. Who is presently on the block of trading? No, do not use the KBO filter, thank you. None of y'all are that interesting to me. Danny Jackson might at least be worth a minor league flyer. But I'm not going to give you a signing bonus, that's for sure. So I want first base, and I want you to sort by batting ratings, and let's sort by contact. Jesus Alanis looks like he could be interesting. I'm sure we can do better, but let's go ahead and offer him a contract, just in case. And then let's find ourselves a first baseman in the trade market. Because I think that's going to be our best bet. Like, I really want an all-around great hitter if we can find one. Ney Serrano looks pretty decent, but I don't know that I would trust him. Khalil Watson, I'm sure, is making a lot. Oh, Khalil Watson is actually quite inexpensive. Let me think about this one. I will be back momentarily. All right, so the problem is the first basemen that are on offer are all very, very similar with very, very similar skill sets. Khalil Watson is no exception. I don't think picking him up is very sensible. And to that end, I think we're just going to let it ride for now, but we're definitely going to keep our eyes peeled come, come end of the season, trading deadline, that's the word I was looking for. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Come trading deadline, I think we will consider an upgrade at first base, assuming that we can't figure that out based on who we've already got. All right, let's talk coaching. So, do we want to keep Jason Haney around? I see no reason not to. He's been a wonderful coach, and our cohesion is really good, so I don't really want to get rid of somebody unless we can clearly get an upgrade. Dave Daniels has been utterly amazing at developing pitching, even at the highest of levels, and that's an even bigger indication that we should keep him around. So we're going to keep a successful coaching staff together until it stops being successful, essentially. Let's offer all the minor league coaches extensions, and there's 4 more to deal with here. Cooper Goldby is an excellent manager, and I definitely don't want to lose him, so I will definitely give him a promotion. Or I'll give him a raise. Our old pal Michael Soto definitely deserves a raise and a shiny contract. Ryan Hader is maybe the first guy here that I'm like, yeah, we don't need to keep him anymore. I'm sure somebody somewhere would make a better manager than him. Jason Angel is a perfectly cromulent pitching coach for low in the minors. So done. Done, done, done. Andy, you dumb fucker. You dumb sumbitch. Oh, I didn't even realize. Yes, to AAA, please. Oh. I need to call somebody up, don't I? Presently, we have game. 12 players. I need to call up in the position player. That's right. That's right. What if we shifted Ronnie Small to playing first base? That's a possibility. Mr. Small, I'd like you to learn first base. Please and thank you. Eddie Williamson's got loads of power. So I think calling him up is reasonable. But I really want to see if he can figure out how to play first base for Small. Because that's a much clearer path to the majors for him. Alright. We're not going to waste any time looking at the top tier draft prospects. I'm sure somebody somewhere will eventually fall to me and be of an intriguing possibility. Like, there's several elite talents here. It's just a question of who, if any of them, will fall to me. Way down at number 31, I think, or 32? 32. I'm dead last in the first round. So let's do it. All right. So these are the cream of the crop remaining. We have 2 relievers purely on principle. We're going to set them to the side. So it comes down to 2 outfielders, a starting pitcher, and a catcher. Let's look at Mike Hudspeth first. Mike Hudspeth is a really, really, really talented player. There is a ton of raw potential here, but the key word there is raw. I don't think drafting him now makes sense. I'm going to shortlist him, and I want to see, like, if he falls to the 3rd or 4th round, we can talk. But I'm not going to take him first round. I don't think he's got enough upside for that. Jorge Lara is an incredibly talented hitter who isn't much of a fielder. Bobby Steele is a bit more well-rounded. Josh Roberson is a truly special pitcher. He's fucking gigantic. A really good mix of raw ratings, plenty of quality pitches, that all of plenty will be plus. His only weakness is a low work ethic, but I bet we can deal with that. I think Roberson is the pick. Done. So ignoring Hudspeth, let's take a look at Jonathan Dunlap. Yes. I'm not going to hesitate. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Well-rounded offense, excellent defense, and a good bit of speed. Yes. Done. Hudspeth continues to plummet. We are getting to the point where it is fair to ask ourselves, is it worth taking him anyway? Uninteresting. He's all about power. I don't think that's a good fit for this team. Dave Bruzzese. You're a bit more raw. I don't know that I'm interested in that. Greg Bells is fine. Interesting. Actually, let's go ahead and grab Joe Parker. Let's grab Joe Mama. And you're all still here. Here's my issue with Bruzzese, which makes me less interested in signing him. First of all, he's not going to a good baseball school. He's going to a fairly mediocre one. But in addition, I'm deeply concerned about his low movement and low control. If one or both of those things improves, he'll be a borderline ace-level pitcher. I'm not convinced either one of those things will get better, though. So while I will definitely draft him, I am not super convinced. Somebody took Hudspeth, which is interesting. Tommy Cassie is fine. He's real big, which is good news, because otherwise I would be deeply unimpressed. If he doesn't add another couple ticks on his fastball, I think he's doomed. But we're talking, low rounds, 5th round. I think a draft of him is reasonable. Done. Josh Madison is just a really decent all-around hitter with nothing truly special, and he's a terrible outfielder. I don't think he's worthwhile. Chris McCracken is. Chris McCracken absolutely is. Done. Gordy McGath is pretty solid. Fastball sinker, decent mix here. Okay, velocity. Sure. Nobody wants Josh Madison. I think they all see what I see, which is that he's thoroughly unremarkable. As 8th round picks go, I've certainly seen worse. But I think I'd rather take Joe Baslett just because he is relatively polished. If I needed to, I could throw him into the deep end and he would be reasonably likely to not be terrible. Nobody wants Madison. That's so funny. He just keeps falling and falling and falling. Gabe Baker seems like a good pick. I can do that. Madison, we're in the 10th round. You will be my final draft pick before I turn over to my scouting director. I still have absolutely no confidence of you ever turning out to be a quality player, but with a 10th round pick that costs no signing bonus, we can see how it might work out. So we're definitely gonna offer Mr. Roberson a nice sum of cash. Parker. Joe Parker. And here we go. Right. I wonder who will have made... Oh, nice. Very nice. Nobody's more popular than Sean DeWitt, which is fantastic news. He is an excellent player. Chris Hughes makes the All-Star team somehow. Ben Bilbrey makes it, and that's it. We have 3 All-Stars this year, which seems reasonable given that we haven't been terribly impressive this year. Any old friends here? No names here that ring a bell for me. Prospects roster, Amari Hasbury and Chris Bork. Bork. And Ronnie Small. Okay. Let's zip on down to the trading deadline. The thing is, I don't need Gene Calderon. Tim Ellis is marginally intriguing. Tim Ellis is actually a good prospect. The thing is, I don't want Calderon. I guess I could accept the original trade for Calderon and then just get rid of Calderon. Like, why don't you want him? Complete trade. I really want Tim Ellis. And I'm happily going to trade Ayala and Burkiaga, neither of whom strike me as terribly impressive, to get a good pitcher in Ellis. And then we're going to instantly turn around and try to trade Calderon on his own, because I don't want him. He offers nothing even remotely interesting to me. Vittorio Arnoldi, sure. Done. Because Ellis is my prize. Ellis is what I wanted. He's certainly a better starting pitcher than, say, Nickelberry or Schaffner. Please change back into being a starter, though. And I'm going to send you to AAA. Oh, you do need a 38-man roster spot, don't you? That's fair. That's fair. Head on down to AAA, though, to work on your craft. Chris Allen has been exactly replacement level. The walks are still an issue. He's not striking people out, but maybe he'll figure it out. Just got to give my dude here some time. Um, what do we do with you? Like, we're obviously going to opt out of Fernando Tatis's contract. We swung for the fences and we failed pretty dramatically. Mr. Genova, you're better than Lou Berta, but not by very much. Let's have you go ahead and rehab in the minors and see if we have any other pitching issues. Now, Chad McKay is somebody that's very excited to have. But I do think we sent him to the minors to work on his craft. I guess you don't you? Okay. Place on 38-man roster and then send to AAA. No, you cannot have Ronnie Small. I have plans for him, and I don't need a mediocre third baseman. Meh. Like, it's decidedly mez all around. I think Cody Schreier is fine. This actually isn't a terrible trade. Like, the thing is that Hardiman isn't interesting. Like, there's nothing about him that really says, oh, wow, this guy's going to be a big deal, so I think we're going to make the trade just for the sake of making it. Oh, you're one of these guys. That's fine. Not gonna send you to AAA? No. That's alright. Wow, Eddie Williamson is hitting all kinds of home runs. That's wild. I'm going to send down Portillo for Schreier or Spiva for Schreier. Spiva. There you go. Boom, done. Wow, Ishmael Estrada gets her the moment we demote Spiva. That's fine, we'll call Spiva back up. How's Cabral doing in AAA? He is playing quite a bit better, but I'm still not seeing development yet. Let's, we haven't scouted him in a while. Let's see what he looks like at the end of July, and then we can maybe make a choice there. I definitely want Tatis back. Like, I'm not going to... I'm already paying him. Not playing him isn't very sensible. If he's remotely healthy, I'm going to let him hit. Like, at the very least, you can offer us that. Sean DeWitt is going to cost me so much money and also be extremely worth it. So, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, he wants to get paid like a megastar. Which is definitely reasonable, all things considered. I don't think I'm ready yet. I think I'm going to wait and maybe offer him a bigger deal later on. He's going to cost us so much money, but I think we have to keep him. Cerna's fine, I guess. Stallman is actually pretty decent, at least as a first baseman. Jeff Kill doesn't really feed me with a lot of confidence. Let's make this deal. Stallman goes right to AAA. Oh, really? You both need 38-man roster spots, I bet? Okay. Stallman definitely goes to AAA, though. Now, Cerna's an interesting question. Oh, Tony Moll's actually been quite valuable as a catcher because he's so good defensively. I'm going to send Twiz to the minors, and we're going to see if he can work on some of his stuff, and we're going to let Cerna be a backup. That's our plan there. Oh, he's actually a Rule 5 pick. Interesting. Okay. Cool. Those both felt like pretty decent deals that I was happy to make. So let's start trade deadline day. I do not want Brendan Kennedy. You can go away now, please. That's quite a package for a player that's not even that great. Does anyone have? Dan Eddy would make a very fine first baseman for us. He's actually a really talented player. He's also expensive as shit. So maybe not Dan Eddy. I know you get what you pay for, but I can't pay for that. Alvaro Moreno's even better, though. It'd be a 1-year rental. Is it worth it? Who's currently playing first base? It's Kevin Cox, who's been fine. But Moreno instantly makes us far more good. But you're wanting really talented players in exchange, and that I cannot abide. I have prospects to trade, but I won't trade you that one. What about Chris Bork? How does that make you feel? It gets you closer, but it's really a bunch of players I don't want to trade, is the issue. So I think I just politely but firmly decline your offer and maybe go back to the trade deadline and see if there's other interesting first basemen that I might be able to get for less. That was weird. You guys saw that, right? That it said 20 overall and 80 potential for a 31-year-old? That's kind of wild. Interesting, but not really that useful. Ethan Holiday would be a lovely player, but I don't think it's sensible. So we're not going to do it. Richard Polanco might work. But I kind of want to just let Kevin Cox play the rest of the season. Like, he's at least earned it. Like, he's earned the opportunity. to prove that he can actually handle it. Like, if I could trade Tatis, I would, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. Thank heavens for Sean DeWitt, because he is the heart and soul of this offense right now. Like, it's not even a debate. Oh. Oh, God, that's way too busy. No. Yeah, that's wild. That's not great. I'm going to end the trading deadline unless... Do I have a pending free agent that I'd like to part with? Jonathan Genova I might be able to get something interesting for. Because I'm not going to bring him back. I've already made that decision. It's a lot of players that don't really fill me with confidence about them ever turning out to be all that good. Verdecia might be the one exception. We can go for him. I'm cool with that. I had no idea that Genova was like their secret favorite player, but our fan interest is actually pretty reasonable. I'm not that chuffed by that. Let's sim a day. And we'll see if any developments happen. The biggest thing that could happen is Cabral taking a step forward. I think that's the most critical thing that we could possibly see happen. If Cabral does take a step forward where he can be a reliable hitter, that would completely transform our lineup in the best possible sense of the word. But that is a big if. It's a very big if. Nickelberry's slightly worse. McDevitt is slipping. Pinto's getting better. Cox is getting better. Santa Cruz is better. DeWitt is better. Jesus Alanis is getting better. I don't see his name. I am concerned. I am very concerned that he's apparently not getting any better. He hasn't been scouted since May. Get your fucking head in the game, my guy. Scout him, please. I beg of you. We're alright for now. Nobody's gonna take Luberta if I try to get him through waivers, I don't think. And I'd love to give, like, Chad McKay an opportunity. So, Mr. Luberta. I want McKay in the majors. I am going to send you to the minors. Yes, fine. No, actually, I'll rehab you. I might actually call you up when rosters expand. That seems fine. His movement's getting better. Like, he is becoming a better pitcher. Just not very quickly. As predicted, Luberta easily cleared the waivers as I knew he would. We just can't seem to put together a consistent run this year. 1,500 runs for Fernando Tatis. Nice. I definitely want Estrada back if we can get him back. Eddie Williamson is doing so much violence on baseballs that I think Portillo's got to be the odd man out. There we go. Okay. Did anything change about him? His eye got better. Okay. Interesting. He might just be a slow learner. He'll definitely get called back up when rosters expand. Like, he's too useful. But whether he'll get a permanent role is less clear. Nickelberry, turns out, was also kind of a bad contract. It be like that sometimes. It be like that. Let's quickly activate Cabral, Luoma. Harper, Portillo, Ellis, definitely. Portillo, and Spiva. This is Ellis's chance to show if he can start to replace someone like a Nickelberry or Schaffner. That's what I'm looking at there. And I don't care about you. You can get fucked, nerd. And let's sim a bit farther. Oh, that's unfortunate. He's going to miss the playoffs. Which is fine. How many pitchers do I have right now? I have 14. I mean, Chris Bork probably deserves an opportunity. Let's do it. Let's put him on the roster and let him pitch a bit here in the big leagues, get a cup of coffee. We technically could still win the division. The division is within our grasp if we could just go on a consistent run. Have a nice series against the Rays where we just sweep them. That would be lovely. We've clinched a playoff spot. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Chad McKay got better. McDevitt got worse. Ramirez got a little better, I guess. Tatis got worse. Mello got better. Luis Blas is improving significantly. How are you enjoying first base, Ronnie Small? You're not playing first base. They have you continuing to catch, which is not what I told you to do, my guy. I told you to play first. 10 in a row. Nice. Good old Ellie De La Cruz. Oh, it was against me. Okay. But you lost, and that's what matters. So let's talk positioning right now. We're still in the market to potentially get a... like, there's a good chance we win the division. But I kind of want to do more than win the division. I want to try to get that that premium buy if we can get it. Which basically, because the Tigers are already ahead of us, it's going to require they lose a couple of games so we win a couple. But we'll have to hope that that works out for us. Like, all we can do is keep winning. If we do our job, then we'll have a chance. Potentially. Maybe. Our final series is against the Giants, who just beat us in Game 1. I did win the AL West, though, which is cool. They won Game 2. Derek Mitchell got 300 homers. Man, fuck you, Derek Mitchell. I was so excited to have you, and then you shat the bed. All of it. Let's take a gander at the playoff coverage. We are in... no, we did get a bye. Interesting. I think the Twins fell out of contention. Let me look at the standings real fast. Standings here. Oh, no, sorry, it wasn't the Twins. It was always the Tigers. How did I get the bye over them? I did have the head-to-head matchup on them. That must be the difference. I beat them 4-3. Okay. I will happily take another week to get healthy, for sure. Alright, Jackson Jobe is still pitching? Wow, this is like old home week. Jim Chrisman, former Oakland A. Jackson Jobe, former Oakland A. Amari Broaden, wait for it, former Oakland A. This would be like a nice little series, like meeting each other in the different clubhouses and whatnot, sharing stories of playing together. Let's check the playoff roster. Who made it and who didn't? I think I'm probably fine with whoever did make it, so I think I'm just not going to worry about it for now. Well, getting beaten 6-0 isn't a great look. Getting beat 7-2 is an even less good look. And just for fun, let's cripple Tatis one more time, just to fully rub it in about how stupid a deal that was. There we go. We had a bit of a bounce back. And then we just get walloped here. Like, we basically didn't hit at all. Sean DeWitt was non-existent, which is really troubling because he's so critical to our success as a team. Sigh. Fucking Brock Wilken, average player, breaks out and hits 4 home runs in the series. I wasn't ever going to keep touch with that, so... A bummer, but nonetheless, it happened. Our pitching was really bad. Like, none of our starters lasted very long. That's concerning to me. We might need to try to get ourselves a top-tier starting pitcher to help anchor our rotation a bit. It's the Mariners and the Rockies. I'm happy with either one of those teams winning. It's going to be really interesting to see whether Juan Rivera or Sean DeWitt end up with MVP this year. I think there's an argument to be made for either one of them. It might go right down to the wire. I don't know who's going to vote for him, but it'd be cool if somebody did. A pretty good score. I'm not unhappy with how we did. Let's correct the biggest mistake we've ever made. Well, one of the biggest mistakes. Get lost, nerd. Mike Swanson actually had a pretty decent season. 12 million isn't cheap. But... Oh, did my fucking head scout retire? Hang on just a minute before we make any kind of decisions here. He's good. I too would like to upgrade at first base. We lost our trainer and our scouting director. Let's quickly address that, and then we'll talk about how the season actually ended up. I need a scouting director who is the scoutiest scout that ever scouted. David Gooda is already looking like an excellent choice, and in fact, I'm not going to overthink this. Come on down, my friend. Let's keep looking for tools, because tools are the way for us to get high quality prospects, even if we don't have, even if we don't have a ton of options here. Preventing arm injuries would be amazing. Sean Harris is really, really good at prevention. He's not great with leg injuries, but honestly, being legendary at preventing injuries in the first place is actually really positive. But there ain't too many other people that have 4 blues, period, so I think he's our best choice. Let's grab Sean Harris. And then we're also going to need a new manager. Coach ratings. Give me them mechanics. Oscar Salazar, please join us forever and ever. Alright, so let's break down how the season actually went in terms of statistics, because let's keep Swanson for one more year. I think that's reasonable, and even more reasonable is to opt out of Nickelberry's contract. Like, Nickelberry didn't pitch that much, and when he did pitch, he didn't pitch that effectively. So we're gonna ask him to depart. Done. So how did this season actually go? How did we get to 94 wins despite a terrible, terrible start to the season? Sean DeWitt is a giant part of it. Sean DeWitt just keeps finding new gears, and he's going to get paid because I will never let him leave. He's too good. He's too valuable. He's an incredible player. He's everything. Yeah, like Sean DeWitt is very clearly the heart and soul of the Oakland A's, and a lifer for sure. Chris Hughes had another rough start to the year, but ended up playing quite well toward the end. I am questioning, as he gets older, whether keeping him a shortstop is the best use of his talents, or whether we ought to consider shifting him to second or even third. But we can talk about that as time progresses. Ishmael Estrada turned in a really fine season of high-quality offense that I don't think he'll ever replicate because he led the league in triples. Even without that, though, fantastic player and really, really useful. By the end of the year, Bobby Guerra wasn't starting, but he still provided top-notch play when we did have him. And he's definitely a nice addition for us. Andy Santa Cruz, if he could play the field at all, would be far more valuable. He's got some good numbers, so I'm not concerned about that. Eddie freaking Williamson is a really interesting question now. The man just casually hit a third of his hits were home runs, which is just insane. Like, it's not like he was even bad with Colorado, but 20 home runs in 60 games is always going to get you attention from me. I don't know whether that's repeatable, but he's certainly earned a chance to show that he can do it next season. Melo ended up being fine, if not outstanding. And I think we're back to the drawing board with first base again. Kevin Cox got his shot. He couldn't capitalize on it. And it's the power for me. 25 extra base hits in 84 games is not great. That ends up being 50 extra base hits in a full season. I don't think that's good enough for our purposes here. We need a new third baseman. And that much is also obvious. Randy Hoskins was a nice little find. Randy Hoskins might end up playing first base for us. He'd actually be pretty good at it. We'll figure something out with him. If we could get a really great shortstop and then ship Hughes away from shortstop, I think the lineup as a whole would benefit to an extreme degree. I truly believe that. What about the pitching? So here's our issue. This was, I think, our biggest problem this year, is we had a lot of good pitchers, but we didn't have a pitcher willing to take over the season. Whether that's because our defense isn't good enough, possible. Or whether it's more deliberately just our pitchers aren't good enough. In either case, we got some good performances, but nobody really stepped up. Nobody went, I'm taking this team on my back, except for maybe Ben Bilbrey with his ridiculous season out of the pen. But you really need one starter to be like 4 wins or more to really dominate in a season, and we didn't get that this year. I think our pitchers were fine, but I do think we can get better. How did Tim Ellis do? Tim Ellis started 0 games because you wouldn't start him. You might be starting next year. So we will talk early next season and figure out who's actually worth keeping and who isn't. How was Chris Allen's rookie season? There is some to like and some to not like. His walk rate was actually pretty reasonable, as was his home run rate. He wasn't striking out enough people. I don't necessarily need this number to go down. It'd be great if it did. This number needs to go way up. That, I think, is going to be his key to becoming a truly dominant pitcher. If you can start striking people out regularly, he's going to be an excellent starting pitcher. I have no doubt. I do think Kevin Cox is not going to be on the team next year. And I think we need to find somebody who will be on the team to replace him. I need a better third baseman. We acquired quite a few prospects, so we're going to do a bit of soul searching for that. Because they're not bringing back Tatis. Point blank, I'm not bringing him back. If he'd come back for like a tiny sum, I'd consider it, but he won't. No, he wants to get a raise, and he just doesn't deserve one. He doesn't. Before we end this episode, though, we have to re-sign DeWitt. We have to. I'll tell you what, my guy. Give me 2 team options at the end, and I will happily make this offer to you. There we go. So we're paying him a bunch of money, but I think we have to. He's too fucking good to not get that big time raise. So we'll see how he does. And we'll make the rest of our decisions next episode when we actually pick up a couple of, a scouting director, a new scouting director. So until next time, my friends, this has been Guardian. Thank you for watching, and I bid you good day.